If you like this podcast or the previous ones, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Frankie'sPod. It just goes to help fund the software and the hosting. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Tonight, it might be a bit strange for people. I haven't recorded one for quite a while, so I'm just getting myself back into the rut of it. But luckily tonight, I've got Anthony Frith. Anthony Frith, I haven't said your bloody name wrong already. Anthony Frith. Anthony served with the 1st Battalion, Staffordshire Regiment. He joined the military in 2001 and left in 2006. And he's going to give us his story about where he grew up. Same questions that we ask everybody, really. Where'd you grow up? Why did you join the military? What was it like? Why did you leave? And more interesting for a lot of people is what have you done since? I mean, also like the transition from the military into civilian life as well. So a lot of people struggle with that. We'll talk about that later. So if just like to give us a bit of your background, where you grew up and then what made you actually decide to join the military?
Yeah, so good evening. I grew up on a council estate in Tamworth, Staffordshire. Pretty run-of-the-mill. I'm an 80s kid, so I spent most of my time outdoors, whereas my brother, who's 3 years younger, don't know how, but he became a PlayStation child, so
Yeah.
not as outdoors much as me. High school, didn't do great. Failed science first off. Was told I'd failed it because of coursework being in late, and that I'd get ungraded. So I didn't really bother with any of my other GCSEs. Didn't really try hard. Typical squaddy, in fairness. Get that quick kick in high school, and then all of a sudden, you don't seem to care. But growing up, Dad was started off in the regular army and then transferred to the TA at the time.
Yeah.
My mum was also a barmaid at the TA centre, so I spent most of my weekends in a TA centre learning skill at arms as a teenager. Because my dad was a skill at arms instructor.
So you weren't in the cadets or anything like that? It was just because it was like in the family?
Yeah, well, I went in the cadets as well. So on my dad's side, I had my dad and 2 uncles there. On my mum's side, I had me Uncle David and my granddad that side, and also my stepdad was also in the TA as well.
So a real like military background there then?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I loved it. Everybody growing up was going, "Oh, you're going to join the army, you're going to join the army." And like an idiot, I was like, "No, I'm not." So I went to college for a year doing motor vehicle, but started to get myself on a bit of a slippery slope and thought, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I need to get out of it. And went and joined up because it's inevitably, it was fate. That's what I was meant to do, if I'm honest.
I mean, it's weird you say, but not weird you say that. It's a lot of people I've spoke to. I mean, growing up in a council estate and the rough and tumble of that. I was quite lucky that I didn't grow up in a council estate, but I was in that type of area. I wasn't like a posh area or anything. I'm from Hartlepool originally, and I don't think there's any posh areas of Hartlepool. But I had 2 brothers in the military, and everybody said to me as well, what are you going to do when you leave school? And I was like, I don't know. I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I was like 15. You don't think that far ahead. And them 2 in the military, I just thought, yeah. And then everyone expected it as well. You just follow your brother. They were the only, I had a cousin who was in the Quaranks. She was a major. And that was it. With 2 brothers in the military, there was no one else in the family, or it literally was just to get away from Hartlepool.
Yeah.
And which I wouldn't move back there. I don't hate the place, but I wouldn't move back there. But it's when you say about the council estates, that's the majority of people.
Yeah.
Who join and that's the people we want.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say unfortunately, but
no,
the generation we've got now are very different.
There's the council estate. The old council estates. There's different mentality. You're always scrapping. You were out getting dirty, drinking out of hose pipes. All them old cliches of street lights are on. Better go home, otherwise you're going to get clipped around here. I mean, in hindsight, for me, I shouldn't have been so pig-headed, and I should have done something like the Army Foundation College as soon as I left school. But it's one of them things, isn't it? Can't look back that
It is.
far.
It's one of them things. Plus, you had a different experience than other people who you joined the military with.
Yeah.
So you had a different. You probably had a little bit more knowledge of life than them type of thing. Because I mean, when I joined at 16, I joined straight into junior leaders, and again, I was at school doing my exams, and I was thinking I'd already joined. I'd already done my oath of allegiance.
Yeah.
I'm sat there in these exams thinking, what the hell am I doing here? I could be home. Because like, in 2 weeks' time, I joined the army. I go into the army. Literally, I finished my last exam, and I think it was a couple of days later, I was down at Bramcote in Ian
Oh, sorry.
for a year, which was a shock. Like, so I mean, what made you pick the Staffords then?
So my dad was Stafford's Reserves, and my Uncle Darren was the Stafford originally before he became treacherous and transferred to 2RTR. But yeah, being the oldest of my generation in the family, so I'm the oldest grandkid, thought set an example, join up. Because my uncle was 2RTR, I went in thinking might be a tank driver. Luckily, there was a very clever Stafford as the careers officer there, and he's like, "Nope, guess what you're doing?" I was like, "Okay, that's it," and best decision ever.
It's almost as if they're like, the guys in the recruiting office were on commission for getting guys into their own battalions and regiments and stuff like that.
Well,
the amount of people I've heard who went to the police office to join and never ended up in what they wanted to go to.
Well, when they heard my name, they're like, "You boxer's nephew or lad or something?" I was like, "It's my uncle." They're like, "Well, you're coming to us." So, and that's the way.
So what was it like actually turning up with her for training then?
It's weird because I went and did selection and I got deferred just until I'd got a heart scan because I've got a very slight murmur. So I went for an ECG and everything. It all got checked over, and only went back to Lichfield to do the medical again and go through that process. And then a week before going into basic, I got run over at 40 mile an hour. Stopped two girls getting hit.
Oh, fucking hell.
So pushed two girls out the road. I got on the curb thinking I was safe, but the car was after the girls. So he mounted the curb and hit me, but didn't get them.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, turned up to training with cuts and bruises and everything all over me. Still had grazes all over my face, bandages on my arms, left, right and centre. And when you turn up, I think it was Corporal Lawson, I can't remember. I think it was Corporal Lawson, yeah. He was like, no, Corporal Glynn. He was like, you're going to be all right to carry on? I was like, being a bit cheeky. He was like, pretty sure I've joined the army, not the Navy Corporal. And he was like, yeah, you'll be all right, crack on. So...
so first impressions were, they knew who you were then.
Yeah, what I didn't realise was because I was on one of the first intakes at doing your full training at Catterick. It was one of the trial intakes. That the impact of the car had done more damage than I thought. So got to week 12 doing that first pass off the square and everything, and somebody just went to me and went, "You need to go to the med centre." I was like, "Why?" They was like, "We've watched and you're constantly grimacing with pain." So when I got x-rayed and I got fractures in my lower legs from the impact, so I had to go to Williams Company for 3 months.
Bloody hell. I mean, it could have been worse. I was glad that somebody spotted it.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, so back squadded for 3 months in Williams Company, swimming every other day and doing all different PT. And the good thing was it gave me a chance to improve my knowledge on the battalion. So there was a Geordie corporal there, Corporal Heiner. Bloody hell. Remembering 20-odd years back, eh?
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, going to Stafford's, are you? Warrior Battalion, what do you know about the Warrior?" I was like, "I got a fucking clue, mate. I'll find out when I get there." He went, "No, you'll find out now. By tomorrow, I want you to be able to reel off 8 characteristics of the Warrior without using pen and paper, without looking at a bit of paper." So straight down the education centre, got the Jane's handbook out and started jotting it down and basically almost like doing lines, writing everything down to get it into my head. So,
I mean, it's thinking back now. I mean, artillery, we support, the battle group, and each battery in a regiment supports a different battle group. So we're almost attached to,
yeah,
the infantry battalions and stuff like that. And over the years, I've been in armoured units, or worked with armoured units and mechanised units, which are slightly different. And I was listening to a podcast today, or not a podcast, an Audible book from an ex-Staffordshire, actually, Melvin Downs. I'm listening to his book at the moment, Unbreakable, which is quite good. The attitude he has was about armoured infantry, and he wasn't looking forward to it. Why do you want to be sat in a glorified taxi type of thing? Because you get scooted around the battlefield and all of a sudden kicked out the back and carry on what you got to do. Whereas the mechanised guys are on foot a lot more.
yeah.
How did you think about anything like that, knowing that you were going to an armoured unit, really?
I think for me, it was, this is going to sound daft and lazy, but it's also a bit like self-preservation. You're getting taxied there with quite a lot of protection. You get out, you fight, and then you get back in. So you conserve energy for the bounding on. So it's not that we got to really do any of that. So
it is what it is. So I mean, we're turning up for training. You've gone, the initial shock of training itself.
Yeah.
But you've experienced a lot beforehand.
Yeah.
So did you find it a shock, or was it you could take it quite in your stride?
I did find it quite a shock because obviously my family, everybody has it the generation before. Oh, you're never going to have it as hard as we did. Oh, this, that, and the other. And I think the way it becomes difficult is reflective of the times at the time. And there's always something different. I mean, we had pretty decent NCOs, but when you saw the block down the road getting absolutely thrashed constantly, you think, Jesus Christ, what have they done wrong? Or you've got the guards block that was right at the top of the drive, and they're constantly screaming. I don't think, hearing claims, the guards must have it because they've got it all in the bag. Because all it was scream, 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 scream. It was just constant. But we had decent NCOs. It was if you fucked up, you took your punishment. It was push-ups. I mean, locker ripped out, redo it, re-show, and constant. I didn't mind the push-ups because I was pretty good at them. So I think, yeah, the shock was going back home and going to my uncle, nothing like what you've said. And he's like, oh, you got it easy. I'm like, okay, if you think I've got it easy, that's up to you.
It's like you said, though, it's a generational thing. I've interviewed guys who joined in the 60s and 70s, and it's not that much different. It really isn't. And we all look back and we go, oh, they've got this yellow card, red card, and now they can't do this, and now they're allowed to do that, and stuff like that. But society changes.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I was quite lucky. I was really lucky that we had fantastic TS.
Yeah.
They were absolutely brilliant. We had quite a big troop, and it got whittled down quite a bit. But that's just natural wastage. For us, we were there for a year, and over that year, people don't make the grade, unfortunately, or people transfer to other units, or leave medically. And that's what training's for. It's also not to get you up to standard, but to weed out the chaff.
Yeah.
The downside of that, I think, is I went to a reunion recently with the guys who I joined the military with, and one of them, the guys, messaged us and said that he'd love to come, but he wouldn't feel right because he didn't pass out of training. He was one of the guys who was let go, and like we said to him, come, because it doesn't matter what happened.
No.
You literally decided to join the military. You give it a go, and you've got to take it out to people who do get kicked out. All right, you might look at them and think, fucking hell, they're shit or whatever. But they still had the balls to give it a go. And some of them come back later on, bigger and better, and try it again and succeed. But it's not for everyone, really.
No, it's that thing as well. Like, I really sympathise for the people that really got a major injury during training, or something was discovered later on was like, hang on, you actually shouldn't be here. You're going to cause yourself serious damage, because they've got. It's almost like the white rose or white flower syndrome from World War II, where they're a coward, but they're not. They put themselves forward to have a go, and they've not been able to, and not through no fault of their own.
I mean, so you joined in 2001, and they cut the end of your finger off last night. That's clever, isn't it? Don't try and cope when you've had too many beers. So you joined in 2001. I mean, the world changed for us.
Yeah.
Then, in September the 11th, and the guys who were joining after that must have known that they've joined up thinking, we're going somewhere, something's going to happen. When in my time in 1985, it was really quiet. You had Northern Ireland going on, and not a lot else. You spent your time in the Cold War in Germany, and as much as we think that we did nothing over there, I've interviewed General Richards, and he explained it to me in a different way. Like, we were there, it was a Cold War, and it was just you didn't see what was happening. And as much as we think, we sat there just getting pissed, we were always on alert. We were always on, we were ready to go at the fucking drop of a hat type of thing.
What you got to think about is Russia didn't try doing anything until we pulled out of Germany. So,
well, I mean, it is just one of them things. I mean, we'll talk about that. We'll go into that later. So training for you was interesting. I mean, all right, prolonged because you got back squatted due for medical and everything like that. Did you find when you were back squatted that you felt a bit let down, or?
No. As daft as it sounds, I felt like I'd let myself down.
Yeah.
Because obviously, at that age, you think, I'm bulletproof. I mean, for the fact that I was still alive and not seriously disabled at 40 mile an hour, come down really hard on my face onto one of them fine stone rather than tarmac roads.
Yeah.
I thought I'd fared all right. But then obviously, as I was going through training, I didn't even know that I was grimacing. Somebody else had picked it up.
So leaving training then and turning up at your unit, I mean, that's another big shock for a lot of people as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've never done so many push-ups on my first day in my bloody life. Turned up in Sergeant Major's office, and he's going down. There's 8 of us. Name, gets to me. Frith, sir, 20. Thinking, what the bloody hell have I done? And again, thanks to my uncle, his legacy left behind.
I mean, that can be a good or a bad thing, especially if, there's a standard to keep type of thing, or a bad reputation to keep.
Well, he had a lot of friends, but he left. So, and I don't see it as any form of bullying or let's take it out on the family. For me, it was fitness. I must have done about 300 push-ups in one day, if not more. But
I mean, I had a similar thing when I rocked up at my unit. I signed up with the guard room. I got picked up from Guslow Airport, or RAF Guslow as it was then, and dropped off to the unit on a Land Rover, and walked into the guard room. They're like, "Who are you?" So, "What's your name?" I said, "Gunnar Dunn." And they were like, "Are you related to Tony and Leo?" And I was like, something in my head said, "Don't say no." And I just went, "Yeah, I think they're my cousins." And that was it, because they were like the 2 big boxers in the regiment. So everyone was like, "Oh, right, don't touch him," type of thing. And I was like, so that it worked till they found out, and they were like, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" I was like, "No, your cousins, I think." But they kind of looked after me. It was quite good as well, just because of the last name.
Brilliant.
I don't know if you noticed it, but what I did when I turned up a unit, everyone just seemed so much older.
Yeah.
The old full screws, they all looked about 50. And they were like, late 20s, early 30s. Don't get me wrong, in them days, there was some seriously long in the tooth gunners, lance jacks, 22-year gunners and stuff like that were not uncommon. I suppose later on in my career, that's more or less what I was as a full screw at 27 years, but that's just the way it is. How did you think about that? How did you find that? Just everyone seemed a lot more.
it was weird. All the guys that had like turned up in that first year, in the 12 months previous to me, were all still pretty much like me, not 9 stone piss wet through, looking around at every opportunity like a meerkat, didn't want to do anything wrong. But everybody here that had been there 12 months or more, they all seemed like a lot bigger, and they commanded respect almost. And thankfully, what I found was quite a switched on regiment. It was brilliant. Everything was about your presentation, and it was presentation of the camp. I mean, could you imagine trying to get somebody on up wide awake now, go and do areas and all that lot? Can you not ring the caretaker? Can you not do it? It's just...
Yeah. Where were you posted at? Where was the battalion at then?
They were at Moulton Barracks in Tidworth.
Oof, yeah. I mean, I've spent time at Larkhill, and I know what Tidworth looks like. Anyway, I wouldn't like to live there, to be honest. But it's not different as anywhere else.
No.
So what do you think of the area then?
What, the training area or the area in general?
No, like living in Tidworth around that area.
Training area was safer. No, it was great. I mean, I went back down there 2 years ago and had a look, and it looks nothing like what it did then. And it was that thing of, for us, I think it was AK's was the bar, up by the Spa, and then you had the Ram, but the Ram seemed like the Pads pub, not the
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, I went in there once, I think, and that was about it. I went in a furniture shop there.
Yeah.
That had a sex shop above the top of it. That was bizarre. That was like, what the hell? You know, I'm coming to look for a bed. No, all right, what's up there? Fucking hell. So, did you experience any like character building when you first got to your unit? I mean, some people would call it bullying, I suppose. And
no, not bullying. So, I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks in, we were going to the ranges, and senior private on the coach. I'd got one. You remember the old tubes of hobnobs, chocolate hobnobs?
Yeah,
I had them. So like Pringles, but for men. I got them on the bus, and he went, "Oh, let us have one." And as he's reached in, I went, "Not that one." And he's lurched back, and he was like, "Why?" And me thinking I was funny, went, "Special." Pulled it out and started eating it, and then let him have another one. And he went, "Okay." Got to the ranges. I've got in the fire trench ready to do my zeroing and everything, and he's jumped in and gave me a bit of a dig, which I deserved. You start learning your place in the pecking order.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it can be taken to extremes, but as a lot of people have alluded to on the podcast, you know, you turn up at your unit and you're the lowest of the low, and you take it because it's just expected anyway, and you're just willing for the day that the next lot of recruits turn up and it's their turn. You know, I don't think. I mean, I've spoken to a guy who joined in the 70s, and he was in the Paras in 7 Hertfordshire when they moved to Germany and they weren't Paras anymore, and it was like it's very, you know, I think different types of regiments and treat the people differently. And again, late 70s, early 80s, it was a very different army, and there was a lot of bullying going on. And it just was, but you kind of accepted it, or you didn't see it as bullying. Generally, because fingers crossed it wasn't aimed at you. Yeah. Somebody else got it, and sometimes you would like, if somebody else is getting it, I'm not. I'm fucking staying away from it. Which, if you look back at it now, you should. Could you have stood up for them? Probably not. You know, it's quite hard when we think about it in retrospect. You try and stick up for people, put yourself in a firing line, and as a moral judgment, that's a good thing. But at the time, you fucking really want to, you know, you want to keep your head down until you've been there a bit longer, and you know, and make a difference to yourself, type of thing.
Yeah, well, I learned from that pretty quick. I think the most I got after that was the obligatory, because I was in a 4-man room and you had the 2 single rooms, and then you had your bogs and your drawing room and whatnot in your wing. All you'd hear is "Crow!" and there was 3 of us in there that were all brand new, and we're all looking at each other as if to say, "Who's the after?" And then he'd be like, "What are you fuckers get in now?" And we'd be like, "Right, take it in turns." So I'd go and get money, like, take his money, run up the naffy, come back. There you go. There, it was the norm. I mean, it did get to the point where as soon as I'd finished and had my scoff, let it settle on an evening, and then I'd go out running or something, so that I weren't there to keep running to the naffy. I thought, might as well go and get fit than just these short bursts of inconvenience.
Yeah. So I mean, what was it? Battalion life like? Training, exercises, tours.
Obviously, Wednesday is International Sports Afternoon, playing rugby with the Fijians or a bit of football. I mean, tried to get me doing hockey. I don't know how I've still got any knuckles left. It was just...
It's brutal, isn't it?
It is. It's a dangerous sport. I mean, it's almost like Thunderdome when you're in that bloody, all that like hockey cage and everything. It's like, what the bloody hell's going on here? So yeah, enjoyed sports afternoons. I wasn't one of these ones that would going swimming and then end up at the pub.
Mine was Egyptian PT. I could fucking sleep for the world, mate.
Yeah, I'd never done that. I enjoyed it because when I was in the rifle companies, there was always a concurrent activity going on. There was always something to do, even if it was helping out the CQMS, count them in shit in the stores and whatnot, or you're out in the area doing just some navigation exercises and whatnot. I enjoyed it, and then obviously Fridays obligatory CO's PT, where it pays to be a winner. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It really did.
I mean, it's like you go back and look at it and you think, how long did I just stand around doing nothing? And there's lots of that. When you're not training, when you're not working on the vehicles, or standing around with a fucking broom in your hand. There's a lot of boredom in normal, like, regimental life. There's a lot of waiting, unfortunately.
I think they do miss a lot of opportunities, but before I go on to that is, I mean, what used to get me was you were emptying vehicle boxes out every day to make sure everything was there. I mean, how bad was the camp security at night if you had to recheck all that kit the next day? It's like...
Let's fucking face it, it's quite bad in some places.
You're like going, yeah, it's got to be all there. We checked it yesterday twice, and we're like, no, we've got to do it again, and you're cleaning it and whatnot. I mean, the opportunity that they miss is it doesn't cost anything to go and hone your skills on the back of... We're on Salisbury Plain training area. If we could have literally done a damn sight more orienteering. Some people absolutely throw a brick at me if they hear this, but out doing more 8-milers and just generally building fitness, or even exercises. Use up some of them out-of-date rations that the QM's got. He doesn't need them, although he thinks he does, but yeah, we could get rid of some of them.
Yeah, stores are for storing, not giving away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the training that you did, it would be the same as any unit. You start off at low level through the beginning of the year, the training cycle, and then you work up to, section, company, battalion, and then battle group. Did you go out to Canada and places like that?
No. So when I got there in early to mid 2002, it was middle of 2002. They'd not long come back from Canada, and it's all they were all talking about as well. So you're like, oh no, I've missed it. And we were straight into operational tour training for Kosovo.
You see, I missed out on Kosovo because I was on an ERE post at that time.
Yeah.
So my regiment went out there, and I've heard quite a few stories about Kosovo. I tried to compare it to Bosnia, and I think it's very different. It was because it's in the Balkans. You kind of compare them together.
Yeah.
But it was different, and I've spoke to guys who some guys had really, really boring tours in Kosovo. Literally did nothing, just camp rats type of thing. And other guys who were out on the ground. a hell of a lot, and they've seen how dodgy it could have been if the Serbs had went, well, we're not listening to you. We're actually gonna do something. They took a pounding, but they have the ability to give us a bloody nose if they wanted to.
Yeah, they that was the thing. It was some of the. This is what I was like with when you hear about what other battle groups do when they go out on tour, and how they dress and everything. What I noticed about Stafford certainly was it was always professional. It was you had your smock on, you had either your beret or your helmet on, depending on what the situation was at the time, and everything was done properly, and that was it. It was even patrolling, 2 hands on the weapon. It's like there's nobody about, and I was only scratching my arse. Can we calm down? It was,
Yeah.
but it was that professional mindset, and I loved it.
So, was there any highlights from the Kosovo tour for you?
The guy that jumped in the fire trench and gave me a dig, he was a Lance Jack for the tour. And I'd been put in his vehicle. I don't know why I'd been put in his vehicle either, but we went out on a patrol, and he told the driver to that we're going to drive down a stream because it looked shallow. We ended up getting stuck. Obviously, me being the crow in the back, had to help the Remy when they eventually turned up, hitch the vehicle up, but shaking like a dog shitting in God knows what temperature water is an understatement.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We did some chasing of illegal loggers and stuff like that. Them really dangerous people, cutting trees down. And then that's the worst when you got to find 3 forest industry stamps on a wagon load of logs, and it's pitch black like 4 a.m, and I can only find 2. Keep looking. I promise you, I can only find 2, and then you get another body coming, and you're all there with your torches and glow sticks and God knows what. It's just you're there for ages. It's like, thought about opening the curtains and putting the lights of the Land Rover on it. No, carry on.
The thing is, when you're having to do stuff like that, you're probably thinking, "What the fuck am I doing here?" I'm supposed to be out. I've got a fucking weapon. I'm a soldier.
Yeah,
Why am I doing stuff like this?
It's when they explain it to you, saying that they're selling all them trees to buy arms or to do whatever, or the potential to do this. You understand why you're doing it, but doesn't necessarily mean you want to be doing it still. You'd rather be doing close observation platoon. They were doing loads, and we envied them. Absolutely envied them.
I can imagine. I wouldn't say that they got into some scripts, but they've got some interesting stories, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. Just stuff they talk about. Fantastic.
So what was for you after Kosovo
then? Kosovo, while I was in Kosovo, I did the RRU Carder, which obviously regular radio users for people that don't know. And I just said, what's entailed in Signals Platoon? And somebody was like, oh, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Do you fancy it? I was like, nah, I'm all right, cheers. But because I'd done all right on the Carder and I'd asked about it, I got sent there. So we obviously did quite a few exercises, like Wessex Warrior and stuff on Salisbury Plain. Then I got because of driving the RSO around on Salisbury Plain, I got the opportunity to go on an NCO Carder because I expressed my interest. He went through some bits and pieces of where we are on the map, and I hate to say this, boss, but you were wrong with the map, and I did get the location right. So he's asking where we were on the map, and I was like, we're here, and he went, no, we're not. He goes, can you show me again? You got your bit of grass or whatever, and you go, we're here, and he's going, no, we're not, we're here. And I go, no, if you follow that hill line down here, there's a stream there and a culvert. We're there. And he's like, oh, we'll agree to disagree.
But sometimes you're right, but not right. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was that thing of spending so much time in the vehicle with him and having them conversations. I did learn a lot about placement of where you're best to sit, and thinking about your routes. And just because something looks the best route, it's probably not going to be the best one for the tactical situation at the time. So
I remember when we were at Lark Hill, we used to have to do camel concealment demonstrations, and I was driving a Warrior at the time. Friday afternoon as well. Got on at the last minute, and a guy came down from Warminster from one of the training infantry units there, like the School of Infantry and stuff, and took us out on the training area down by the racecourse, just outside the back of Lark Hill camp.
Yeah.
And on the top of the racecourse bit, there's like people sit there. There's a course up there, and it was like we're cabbying about backwards and forwards, and they're on the radio going, right, you can see them there, you can see them there. And he made us drive in the bushes, and I was like, we're not allowed to do this anymore. So when I joined the army, went on exercise, and you didn't even have camp poles on your vehicles.
No.
You waited till you got to a height, and you chopped a fucking few trees down and made them.
Yeah.
We didn't get camp poles issued. You just fucking took them out of nature. And then towards like the year 2000, 2001,
yeah,
you weren't allowed to do any stuff like that. But he had me driving into this copse, basically. And I'll never forgive him for this. Yeah, he says, right, track right. So track right, and it fucking threw the track, didn't it? At the back. And he's like, oh, it's all right. I know what to do. Just jiggle it left and right. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. I said, we're stuck. And he's like, no, you'll be all right. Jiggled it left and right. What happened? Fucking took the track off on the left-hand side. I was like, you twat. And there's only me and him, right? He made a phone call with his mobile. Some fucker come and picked him up, and he fucked off and left me there. I don't know. I haven't thought about that for years, but you've just reminded me of it. And I thought, you twat. So I found a range phone.
Yeah.
Luckily, there was one near us, and ring into the operator and get the guys in the office to get the remit to come up and get us. Now, you can imagine what flavour I was Friday afternoon, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, trying to recover a Warrior that both tracks have come off. So the Remy lads loved me, and the fucking lads in the troop loved me as well. We were there quite a while. But, it is what it is, and some of the assholes out there, but what can you do? But back, it was quite funny, but not at the time. I was fucking fuming. Upset a lot of people, that one did. So what was your tour? What tours did you get up to then after that?
Went to Iraq in 2005.
And how was that? I mean, I did 2003 and then 2006. So we went out on Optelic, and then went out again 2006, and very different times, very different scenarios and stuff like that. 2003, we were out there doing your war fighting job. I'm quite lucky that I only did one more tour of Iraq, and I never went to Afghan or anything like that. And I consider myself lucky.
Yeah.
There, really. So, I mean, the build up for yourself, what was that then?
I found out I was being attached to B Company as one of their signallers, so I'd be in the OC's wagon. It was weird because my partner at the time, she was obviously panicking, and I was like, no, it's fine. I'll be in an ops room manning a radio, and like somebody else I knew, about 3 days before we deployed, when she asked them, and he went, oh yeah, he'll be out on the ground. He'll be always out. So I got a lot of earache.
I mean, they don't understand, bless them. To be honest, I was married while I was for the majority of my time in the army. And she kind of knew what was going on and what to expect from stuff like that. But it is what it is in the end, really.
Yeah. So first 3 months were quite enjoyable. I mean, we lost within the battle group. We lost 2 lads, Lance Corporal Brackenby and Guardsman Wakefield. So one was, I believe, one was artillery, and the other one was obviously Coldstream Guards. So that was a bit of a kicker, really.
Kind of brings it on, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, especially like that going, right, they've been it. When's it our turn? I come home on R&R. Went back just as not long after I got back. I think it was about 2 or 3 days after I got back. The 7/7 bombings happened in the UK, which made everybody angry, obviously. but professionalism again ruled everybody's head. That's what was drilled into us. We're out there to be professional. I mean, we were told that the battle group before us didn't really go out very much. Can't prove it. But we were out constantly. Absolutely constantly out there trying to win that hearts and minds approach. Most places we went were happy to see us. So
yeah, I mean, in 2003, right, we were out there. The war had just finished, if you want to call it that, and we were going around seeing the locals, and they fucking loved us.
Yeah,
they were really, really happy to see us, and all of a sudden it just changed almost overnight. We came back, we recovered from Iraq as the war fighters, let's call it, and the next units took over, and it changed like almost overnight. It was horrendous for them, and then it got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Up until like 2006, 2007, and then it kind of eased off again. And then towards the end, there was like, I spoke to guys who were there towards like the very end of it, and they were just like, we're doing sod all basically. But that mid time, like say, like from like your era in there, and a little bit later, like the P-Jocks getting attacked every night and stuff like that. And I remember the last two where I went out on, almost on the first night we were there, they were doing a handover. The guys who were leaving taking the new guys out on patrol, and there was a sergeant, and he only had a couple of days left in country. And unfortunately, he initiated an IED, and it was a good night for him. And they brought him into the med centre, which was in the ops room, in the Basra Palace. And we were in there, and we were just thinking, "Fucking hell, this is real." As much training as you do, sometimes don't appreciate it until something happens,
no.
and then training kicks in and stuff like that. Adrenaline's going or whatever. But yeah, that made it. It made it more real.
Yeah. It seemed like the 7/7 bombings coincided with the fact that while we were on R&R, indirect fire attacks had escalated and gone up, and they were more frequent. So when we come back and after the R&R period, we were out trying to do disruption patrols, but because obviously we'd gone through the B Company R&R cycle, or we're going to the latter stages of it, it was then going into C Company, so we were then having to backfill C Company on their patrols. Then one night, the night of the 15th of July 2005, we went with C Company out to do disruption patrols to stop the indirect fire lads from setting up and testing everybody's alarm clock when they get hit at camp. And we actually thought it was going well. Then early hours of Saturday morning, a small IED goes off, and nobody hit at the time, so comes over the radio. Everybody heard it. It was just enough to hear. So everybody thought it was a base plate, and we're like, right, hang on, where's that come from? And one of the C Company multiples that was on the patrol said, "That's a few streets across from us. We'll go and take a look." Unfortunately, what we didn't realise was the enemy had changed tactics, and there was another IED waiting for them. So it hit the lead vehicle, killing the multiple commander, Second Lieutenant Richard Shearer, and Private Leon Spicer, who was on top cover behind him instantly. Injuring Private Phillip Hewett, who was a driver, and then injuring who was pretty well protected by radios and whatnot in the back, and the chub and everything, Pek Sulabalaka, and also Steve Baldwin, who was sat down in the back. The only person that was completely unscathed, I believe, is the interpreter. So Peck's had a lot of the muscle taken off the back of his legs, and Steve Baldwin took shrapnel to the arm and face. Phillip Hewett. Once the lads had all managed to get around and get him out of the vehicle, managed to start doing CPR on him, but unfortunately he died within 30 minutes.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, and with Pex, he died 16 years to the day from COVID.
Hell. You survive that and then fucking hell,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like a cruel twist of fate in it. I was meant to have you then. I'm taking you now, and it's horrible.
Yeah, fucking hell. How did that? How did the battalion react to that? How did they recover from that? I mean, I know the old thing is that you just got to carry on, and you do your training kicks in, and you do carry on, but it's got to hit the battalion hard. That
It did hit the battalion hard, especially the fact that free in one go. That it was astonishing. It did hit everybody, and two of the lads, the two private soldiers, were from Tamworth, my hometown. And it was very difficult. I'm not going to lie. I became a person that I'm not proud of. I shit myself. I'm not going to lie. Absolutely shit myself.
Perfectly understandable.
To the point where I had an issue, and then I ended up getting sent down to Basra to do the rest of my tour there.
No, that's perfectly understandable. You know, I've seen guys who I wouldn't say they couldn't function after something happened, but it causes issues. And unfortunately, I've seen in my time, and there was a guy who we lost in Ireland. He took his own life, and nobody really knew why until quite recently. I spoke to one of the guys who was heavily involved with it at the time, and we were thinking about the guy's mentality, his mental health at the time. And again, in them days, we didn't fucking give a fuck about mental health. We really did. It was fucking, it doesn't exist almost, almost. And as it turned out, the poor lad was, we'd lost a guy the week before, and it really affected him. And he was petrified, and it does affect people like that, and it can cause some real issues.
It was the fact it just really hit home, and I was getting quite a bit of pressure from home with being out there, and obviously because of the couple of incidents that had happened previously, and having two lads going from such a local area to yourself, it's like, God, am I next? And I know everybody else would have been thinking that, and I tell you, it's guilt as well that you feel.
Survivor's guilt, yeah.
Yeah, if it had been 10 or 15 minutes earlier, it would have been our call sign, because we would have been the closest one at the time. And it's why them? Why now? What have they done to deserve that? And especially when you think that there's certain people that are going to be better soldiers than you going forward. Why are you so special to stay? So yeah, it was quite a hit, in fairness.
Yeah, I mean, you've gone through there. What you've just explained, it's survivor's guilt and stages of grief. It's being a stage of grief. I mean, things that I've learned quite recently is that you don't have to fucking actually know somebody to go through grief.
No.
I mean, for example, weirdly, let's keep it on topic. Ozzy Osbourne's just died. Right, and there'll be people out in the world who that's really hit. They've never met the guy, they don't know him, but they're going to be going through stages of grief or feeling grief. It's the same in a regiment. Something happens to someone else, and it's like fucking hell. But you're right. The survivor's side of it, the survivor's guilt. I think we've all gone through that when something's happened.
Yeah, it's that thing that people have, in some way or another, have such an impact on your life, and you resonate with that, or the way that it happens, and then you can resonate with it. It's cruel in so many ways, because guilt or stress or PTSD will take you in every which way it wants to. You have no choice about it. I've not had a formal diagnosis of PTSD. I had it mentioned on a psych report when I left the army that there's potential, but never diagnosed. And I've got to admit, since the breakup of my marriage 5 years ago, I actually think it was just depression and that thing of not being around the lads and everything. Because how I am now, I'm the most resilient person you'll ever meet.
It can take a lot out of you, but we'll come to that later on. Because I've got quite a similar story, to be honest. The breakup of a marriage can cause a lot of issues. Separation anxiety, even though you don't think that's happening. You changed your whole life, and it can be fucking hard, unfortunately. And then that surfaces other things. So I mean, the tour of Iraq is, it hasn't been the best one for the battalion and stuff like that. How did the battalion actually recover from that, and move on?
So from within the initial few days, because it was about a week and a half before I got moved down to Basra. They got intel and they punched. They just planned ops. It was constant ops and not giving them chance to breathe. And then when I was down in Basra, I was getting info backwards and forwards that another op. We've caught this person. They've detained this many people. They've found this. So they went full bore. It was that they stepped up, and it's weird because it's not as if they were stepped down beforehand.
Yeah,
we were constantly out on the ground. We were constantly gathering information, constantly trying to win over hearts and minds, constantly trying to disrupt enemy movements. But it's so hard when everybody's dressed the same. You don't know who's who.
Yeah.
So
it's a fine balance as well between the hearts and minds, and and the British Army, or the British military, I should say, has always been good at that. It's always been good at that. Ever since, Burma and Borneo and Korea and Malaya, Cyprus. It got so far back as Palestine, really, in the late 40s. But it's a fine line between keeping, doing it, getting hearts and minds right, but also going for the enemy. Because if you upset the wrong people, you kind of lose that what you've built with the hearts and minds. And then if you don't do it strong enough, you're not getting.
No.
It's a fine balance that you can get wrong easily on either side. So, but keeping the guys busy like that as well is also, it stops the thoughts in people's minds of we've been hit hard, and what we've just spoke about there. But if you keep people out on the ground and busy, they haven't got anything else to think about either. And they feel as though they're getting a bit of retribution for it, I suppose.
Yeah, they went from snatch straight back to warrior, and that was it. Then everything was done in warrior, which isn't great for the local populace, but it certainly makes sure that we bring home more Staffords than they would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, fucking snatch vehicles. They were great in Ireland. They fucking weren't suited out there.
It's that thing of, because for me, everybody goes, "Oh, it wasn't suitable. It's this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah." We needed them to get to the areas that were completely unsuitable for warrior. These single track lanes and to try and win over the populace. And it's that thing we've always been told we're the best because we can get the job done with the worst kit.
A fucking choice. That's why.
But it's that thing, and that's what we did. But don't get me wrong, it was definitely the right call to then ramp it up to warrior and just go out in them. So
yeah. But I mean, even then, even in a warrior, there was people hitting them. They're not, they're safer than a snatch, but they're not bulletproof,
no,
unfortunately. But they are. I mean, I loved warriors. I thought they were great. I thought they were brilliant bit of kit. But I've seen them guys get hit in them and then blown up, and they're not going to save your life all the time, unfortunately.
No.
But then again, like you say, I mean, when it's your time, it's just a series of circumstances and stuff like that. And if it's your time, it's your time. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what you do to save. To save yourself, or whatever. You just do your job, and saving yourself's the wrong expression. I mean, whatever's going to happen, what will be, will be. If it's your time, it's your time. Nothing you're going to do.
No.
I don't believe in fate, but sometimes it kind of seems that way.
Yeah, you can't change the past. You've only got to live for the moment that you're in, and it's that thing of people think I'm wrong sometimes, but you plan for the worst and you hope for the best.
Yeah, that's my dad used to say to me all the time. Always expect the worst, and you're never disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
So everything. The future can be anything, and everything's temporary. Nothing's set in stone. Things tomorrow will be different than what they are today, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what was it like coming back from Iraq then?
It was weird because being out there 7 months, it was quite surreal. Because when my uncle got back from the first Gulf, he'd got like a welcome home shindig and this, that, and the other. I literally just walked into the pub, somebody handed me a pint, and that was it. And it's not that I wanted the appreciation or anything like that. It was I'd have liked to have my family together and had seen everybody all at that one time, rather than then having to start driving around everywhere.
I get what you're saying. I mean, you said that you weren't looking for the appreciation. I must admit, when I come back, I fucking was. I wanted to be recognised for what I did.
I appreciated being back more than anything.
Yeah. No, I get that, but so when we come, because I was in the first Gulf as well. So when we come back from that, there was a bit. I wouldn't say a fanfare. It wasn't a forking type of thing. I mean, there wasn't people lining the streets and shit, but you were kind of appreciated a bit more. And then 2003, the populace wasn't that fucking interested. Whether we were there illegally, whether it was an illegal war, which it probably was. Let's face it probably was. And there was no real need for us to go there. It doesn't matter. We went there, we did our job, and we've lost a lot of people. They've lost a lot of people. A lot of innocent people died. But we're not there to do our job, and we did it as best we could.
Yeah.
And when we come back, it seemed to be that the annoyance of it is that no one give a fuck.
No.
You talk to civvies, or even family members and stuff like that, and they don't understand what you've gone through anyway. But
no, you get that thing of certain groups going, "Oh, kill any kids?" No, why would we kill kids?
Yeah,
it's not the done thing. It's just there's a certain ignorance with some civvies, and I'm not going to tar them all with the same brush. But I mean, when you tell somebody you're in the army, the first thing, you killed anybody, or
yeah, that's just... Oh, do you know Barry?
yeah. Oh, you're in the
Shot
army,
head fella. Yeah.
Does he wear camo? Oh, yeah. Everybody's called Barry then, isn't they?
Yeah. No, you get that a lot. Like I was saying, though, when we come back, it just felt as though there's the lack of appreciation of what you've done, for want of a better word. But then you look back at it again, and they don't understand, and they don't need to understand.
No.
Well, that would have been felt from soldiers, not from fucking Waterloo, from Agincourt, from you come back, and I wouldn't say I felt let down, but thinking back, there was probably a bit of that. All right, there wasn't a fanfare, people patting you on the back and stuff, but you do feel a bit deflated.
It's that thing when they don't know the actual real situation of what we're doing, because everybody was in two minds going, is there really WMDs there, or is this happening, or is it for oil? So people not actually knowing why we're out there and thinking that, oh, are we just tagging on to somebody else's war, which I hope to think we weren't. I do still like to think that no matter what we were doing out there was potentially stopping the enemy coming here long term.
I mean, it was a regime change, and we did it, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the wrong people were in charge. And I don't mean politicians. I mean, in my view, the Americans, they didn't have a plan for what was coming next. So they had a plan to win the war, and they weren't ready for the rest of it.
No.
And as I've spoken to people, and people have, I've read and not found information, but spoke to people who kind of were in the know, and it was like they didn't want to listen to us. We said, well, why don't we? And they're like, no, we're in charge. We'll do this. They just tried throwing money at it and put the wrong people in, getting rid of the army, getting rid of the Iraqi army. Fucking stupidest thing to do. Getting rid of the Ba'ath Party.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're in the Ba'ath Party. Right, okay. So we've got rid of them. We've got rid of all these engineers and civil engineers and doctors and stuff like that because we're in the Ba'ath Party. We've got rid of them, and we're bringing somebody else who's not a Ba'ath Party, but haven't got the experience of them guys.
No.
Don't know what they're fucking doing. They expect them to run the country or run civil administration or look after the roads or whatever, and they just can't.
And then you start getting the other little factions like the OMS poking their head up, and you're like, oh, okay. So they were constantly arguing with the police station in Majar Al Kabir because their headquarters was opposite the police station, so they were constantly firing at each other.
It's mad, isn't it? They've all known each other as well.
Yeah, they're probably having breakfast with each other in the morning.
No, I've seen that before. We've seen it in Bosnia where the factions were having a go at each other, shooting at each other. It starts raining, they stop. Fucking Sundays and that, they're all playing football together and having a brew and shit, and then fucking back to it, and you just thought, what the fuck's going on in the world? So, I mean, when you come back from Iraq, did you go through Cyprus for the decompression now?
Yeah, we did.
What did you think of that?
That was about as welcome as a wet fart in a hot car.
Yeah. I've never done it. I never went through Cyprus or anything. I didn't decompress off any fucking tour. But I've heard it was a waste of space. It wasn't long enough and it wasn't structured enough. Literally getting thrown into a camp with a load of beer, expecting to kick fuck out of each other for a couple of days, which is what happens.
Yeah.
And
we got sent.
You're all okay.
We got sent sailing and go and enjoy yourself on the beach. Yeah, what can we do? Just go sunbathe. There's no lounges, there's sod all. So
I'd rather go home. That's how
it's that thing.
What you're doing is when you're stopping guys getting where they want to be as well.
Yeah. It's decompression, lads. What's it decompressing? I want to get home. I want to see my family. They want to know that I'm safe. So it's And I know it wasn't a battle group decision. It obviously come higher up. So
yeah, I mean the whole idea of decompression is that we used to come back from the tours of Ireland in the the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and you'd come back and you were straight out on the piss because you've been in such a powder keg or a high pressure environment. Something's going to snap, and it add alcohol to the mix, and generally it fucking did, and there was mayhem. When people got into trouble, got hurt. So one of the things that you try with the decompression is to let people chill a bit, but it's just, I don't know. I think it was done in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Spoke to guys who went through it all, and they got the lectures about potential PTSD. You need to talk to people and stuff like that. And I suppose that's got better as it's gone on in the army. Literally, there was no talk of shit like that in my time. I say in my time, I mean I got up until say the mid 2000s really.
Yeah.
Before that, it kind of if anyone had issues, you kind of shunned them, you kind of ignored them. Unfortunately, and that happens. So when you got back, was that like a turning point for you or anything? Or
I'd already signed off the previous April,
all right,
just before going, because My partner at the time, she was like, "I'm not going to have kids with you while you're in. I'm not moving them around the world or around the country." So, being the typical young, dumb, full of cum, 22-year-old, and that was besotted with blonde hair, blue eyes, and big boobs, I signed off. And then when I come back from Iraq that December, she got pregnant, and I was out in the April.
How did you find the transition from? Because I mean, you haven't got a long. You come back from like say December to the April. You ain't got a long time to sort your shit out, sort your life out.
So we got back end of October.
Hmm.
Obviously, you do your couple of days on camp, getting all your shit sorted, and then you go on your post-operational tour leave, and then after that, we're virtually then into Christmas leave straight away. And then after Christmas, it's that thing of I'm on the home straight. I'm out soon. I mean, my official leave date was 22nd of May, but I think I left camp on it was the 16th of April. I think the day after my partner's birthday. So, yeah, it was weird because obviously all that happens is that whole 12 months that you've signed off for, you just keep getting told, "Oh, you're going to end up working at McDonald's. Do you know how to make fries? Do you know how to make a burger? You're going to be all right cleaning tables and this, that, and the other." And you're like, I'm not going to lie. Since leaving, I've not known any of the blokes that I've worked with working McDonald's. So we must be doing something right.
I mean, did you find that you were treated different by your mates and stuff like that? I mean, I know let's say the hierarchy would have treated you differently because that's just a God-given that's going to happen. To lose interest in you and kind of shun you off to the side type of thing. But
yeah,
when in my day or when I remember it or I remember it is that when someone signed off, you were like, "Way, fucking signed off, nice one. You've signed, fucking jobs are good." But you kind of then, what's the fucking point? You kind of got, I wouldn't say shunned or pushed away, but you kind of did a little bit.
Yeah, you weren't as included in everything as you normally would be. But yeah, it was that thing. Just I still got on doing everything that I was doing anyway. So
what about the resettlement process? How did that work for you?
I was just short.
Or did it work for you?
No, I was just short of 5 years. So all I got was that resettlement thing where you go to go on where you all go somewhere and there's loads of different companies and you chat to them and that's all I got.
Well, the career transition workshop type. Yeah. Which is fucking pointless, to be honest. Because it's just another company that's running that and trying to make money, unfortunately. So what did you decide to do when you got out then?
Well, I was coming out because I had a job lined up that was set up by my stepdad. What I didn't realise was I left on the Friday, went there on the Monday, and they'd gone bump.
Oh, fuck.
So I was then straight down the agency and ended up working in warehousing and stuff straight away.
That'd fucking do my head in. I must admit. I don't think I could do that.
How
did you find it?
How can you find it? It's like I've got to do something.
Yeah, true.
I ain't got 2 shekels to rub together, so I've got to do a job.
How did you find the difference between the military? I mean, some people listening to this and go, "Well, he wasn't in long enough to have an opinion," and all that. But everyone's fucking got an opinion.
Yeah,
and everyone's entitled to it. I had a guy on a couple of months back who'd literally, as he said, "I've done fuck all." I said, "Well, you have. Everyone's done something. There'll be things that you'll remember later on, and you'll go, "Oh, I wish I'd mentioned that. I wish I'd mentioned that," because this will bring up stuff in you, and you remember it later, and you'll be going, "Like, I did this, I did that." It's fucking, and we're all the same. Doesn't matter how long you did. we've all got that background. We've all got something in common. It's like going back to what we were on about earlier with the cities, not understanding what we went through. We, even like someone in the RAF, the Navy, or wherever, we've all got that thing that we were in the military. We went through basic training, albeit different places, different times, and whatever. But we've been through that ladder of the military life. We've all got something in common. I went to the last post bar in Thornaby a couple of weekends ago. Fucking amazing place. I really, if anyone's up around this area, like around Teesside or even further afield, go and visit it. It's run by a lass called Julie Cooper, and it's amazing. It's got a museum above it. And the beer's quite good as well, I must admit.
Okay.
But it's really worth a trip. But that's the sort of thing that brings out memories as well. We were sat there for a couple of hours going. I'd look around the museum. My mum took us around, which was really great. But you also meet with the veterans there and stuff like that. We'll talk to the guys from the Navy, an old guy from the Navy. And you'd think you had nothing in common, but you still do. Even if it's just banter. And I'd imagine you've missed all that since getting out.
I have, but I'm not going to lie. With my relationship the way it was, I'm not going to badmouth her. But it was quite controlling, and I didn't get to see lads go out with friends, do anything like that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. When we did get married, we ended up having 2 kids. She'd got a daughter from a previous relationship, and I took her on as my own. And even though we split up 5 years ago, that all 3 of them kids are mine, regardless. I don't care what anybody says. And they're amazing.
I mean, when relationships break down, it is hard.
Yeah,
it really is hard. And I know that from personal experience, and it can affect people in different ways. Whether you want that relationship to end or not, you go through stages of grief, and the way I explain it, and had it explained to me, and I agree with it, is that you're going through stages of grief, but there's no end.
No.
So when someone passes away, there's a definite end point. And going through a relationship breakup like that, there isn't. Because nobody's died. But the relationship is. It can take a fucking long time to get over it. Put it that way.
Yeah, for me, it was that thing that potentially the relationship should have ended sooner. But from my time growing up, where my mum and dad split up when I was 3 the first time, and then they split up again permanently when I was 6. I didn't want that for the kids. In hindsight, potentially the breakup would probably have been better earlier than at the point that it happened. But what, can't regret it. Regret it, we're just then punishing ourselves.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, everything's temporary in the end. And moving on, you've got to look forward. It can be hard. It can be hard to let go of memories, feelings, desires, even, in fact, if you want to call it that. But it can affect other parts of your psyche and stuff like that as well. So what happened to me when I ended up in counselling, I'd explained to me that, the ivory box that everything was getting pushed in. And it just, the straw that brought the camel's back happened.
Yeah.
And I started having anxiety attacks and panic attacks, which I'd never had before, which was fucking horrible. And I hope never to have them again. And that was what brought everything else. The box just burst. And went to see the doctor, and she said, "What's going on then?" And I just sat there, and all this shite come out of my mouth. And she was just like, "Hell, yeah, you're getting therapy." I was like, "Right, okay." And that was the best thing that happened to me, was ending up in therapy. And I didn't have that many sessions. Part of my therapy is doing the podcast, and part of other people's therapy is listening to the podcast. And that's not me sounding big-headed, but I do know that happens. And not just my podcast, but lots of other people's. There's a good one by a guy called the Old Paratroopers podcast, Chris Bench.
Yeah.
I've interviewed him on here, and he's really good. His guests are not just military; they're sportsmen, politicians, actors, in fact. And we touch a lot on mental health on that one. I mean, how did you find? I mean, you touched on earlier. You mentioned earlier that undiagnosed PTSD. Have you ever approached anyone for any help?
No, it's weird because when, as daft as it sounds, when I split up with my ex, it's like everything had fell off my shoulders. There was nothing weighing me down anymore.
Right.
And I mean that in the nicest possible sense of the word, because
No, I get what you're saying.
I hope that my ex-wife will find somebody and that she'll be happy. But yeah, I got a new purpose. I refocused, and I started thinking about Mr. Shearer, Leon and Philip, and I was like, we need to carry on what they cannot. I need to make sure that their sacrifice is not wasted. So I think I left on July the 28th. Managed to get a flat and move in, and that was in 2020 after the dreaded lockdowns and whatnot. November came. I joined the Royal British Legion. Showed a massive interest straight away. When people say about going in 2-footed, this must have been like a 2-footed running jump kick straight into it. Nothing was going to stop me, if I'm honest. So I went and did that. By the January, I think it was, or the February, I was the branch vice chairman. And then started, within a couple of months, took over the social media and started trying to push and try and get a younger demographic in. With that, I got noticed at county level as well, and ended up on the county committee, which was brilliant to see what branches were doing in the wider area of the county.
I mean, I've never had any involvement with the Legion. I mean, I've been to one because I had cheap beer. I've never really had any involvement with them. I don't know how I feel about the British Legion. As an organisation, sometimes I feel as though they don't do enough. So I've heard a lot of horror stories about people who approach them and they've been turned down. They don't meet this criteria, they don't meet that criteria. Some organisations that needed help have also suffered stuff like that as well. They've been turned down by the Legion. I think some of the bigger organisations are too big. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't realise is because of the RBL, I try and describe it to people as a regiment. So like your A company or A squadron will be the membership side. Your B company will be the poppy appeal. Your C company will be welfare. And because there's so many arms to it, people just seem to think that the RBL is all one. But because there's so many arms, there is so many organisations. I think there's 177 organisations that monitor and audit the Royal British Legion, and they have to appease all them. Unfortunately, and I think somebody said it's 121 at any one time, because they've got care homes, they've got healthcare audits, and making sure that the building is safe and that. And this is the problem: is we got to get a lot of people, and I'm not saying that people are naive to it. People don't know.
People don't understand.
Yeah. So with membership is purely about camaraderie. That's what membership is for. So when somebody goes, "Oh, what do I get for 20 quid?" Right, I pay 20 quid. It's not what I get; it's what I put in. What I put in is what I get out of it. I get to go to so many and get invited to so many events because I put myself forward for bits and pieces. I'm now Staffordshire County Chairman, and that's thanks to people of Staffordshire and the fact that nobody else ran against me when the election came. So yes, it's default. Yes, it's default, but yes, I put my head above the parapet in the first place. So
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do is educate people that the RBL is what you get out of it. Yes, you've got to pay a membership, but that's there to make sure that should you have a complaint about something, you've got somebody there to answer it. It's there to make sure if you're a branch, they can pay for your training for your officer roles to make sure people are compliant and are not going to fucking step on a social landmine every 2 moments.
Yeah.
It's an expensive organisation to run. And at the moment, the RBL are doing so many cost-cutting exercises to save money and make sure that it's spent in the right places, even on the membership side where none of that money goes to a beneficiary. But what people don't realise is just by being in membership, you're a beneficiary because you're benefiting from everybody else's outlook. You're benefiting from their experiences, from their words and wisdom. People don't realise it's the most, even though it's heavily white male dominated, it's the most diverse atmosphere and place to be a part of that I've ever known, because people just see diversity as the 8 protected characteristics. It's not. It's I work in construction site management now. Somebody else could be a banker, somebody else could be a lawyer. Everybody in them different areas has a different perspective, has a different outlook, has different views, morals, and standards. That is diversity. But everybody treats each other equal, and that's what it's about. Yes, I'm county chairman, but what's more important is I'm a member.
I mean, don't get me wrong from what I said earlier about the people not getting help and things like that, because we do tend to jump on the negative stories, and they're the ones that stick in your mind.
Yeah.
It's like going on a forum online, like for a car. Say you bought a car, and you're going online on the forums. You only see people who whinge.
Yeah.
Oh, this fucking broke. This is done. This is that's done. And that's what you tend to get in life anyway. People venting online, people venting on TikTok, on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
The people who are content or happy tend to be content and happy and don't push don't say, well, somebody's got, like, let's go for, the scenario of a car.
Yeah.
My car, nothing wrong with it. I don't go on the forums and go, yeah, my car's got nothing wrong with it.
No.
Because you tend not to do that. So people who get through it well don't tend to raise awareness enough for it.
It's that thing that if the RBL were to respond to every gripe and moan, they'd need to employ another 300 people, and then that's taking money away from beneficiaries. Stuff with beneficiaries, it's stuff like means tested. If somebody's really earning good money, but they're not managing themselves properly, they get given the advice of and say, look, where can you trim the fat to put yourself in a better position? As soon as they're just like, oh, well, I came for you for money, but you're not helping. But they are trying to help. They're saying, look, what can we do to improve your position where you are? And that's paying somebody to give them that advice and say, look, is this a necessary bill? Do you need to pay £96 a month for a mobile phone? At the moment you're in a predicament. We need to let's lower what you're spending so that what's coming in is balancing properly. Or it's very difficult. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say anything that might be wrong, if that makes sense. So
no, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's you're going to get people who are after handouts.
Yeah.
You're going to get genuine people. You're going to get people who aren't genuine, and you've got to get separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
And that's the same in any type of life. I'm going through something similar. I wouldn't say similar myself, but I'm going through something at the moment. I bought a vehicle that was run roadworthy and stuff like that, and since then the company's gone bankrupt and this, that, and the other, and I'm stuck with a fucking car that I can't do anything with, and I'm trying to get money back. Can't see it happening, but you never know. But you have people out there who genuinely need help, and sometimes they're too afraid to ask for it. The amount of guys who I've spoke to through doing the podcast who didn't know about Op Courage.
Yeah.
You know, when you explain to me, hey, when you go to the doctors, you tell them you're a veteran. You know, since last year, I regularly get messages now from the NHS saying, you're a veteran, you're susceptible to this, that you have, you know, this could happen to you, that could happen to you, we need you to go and get this test, get that. Fucking got one 2 days ago saying, you're a veteran, you're at higher risk of hepatitis C. I was like, am I? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Ow. You know, so go and get tested. I'm like, I don't want to get tested. But, you know, that system is in place now and it's there. And through my experience, it does help. You know, I went through Op Courage. They were very quick to, I'd say very quickly. I was seen within a month, where I know some guys who a lot longer than that. And they ended up passing me on to the Eastern Remembrance Trust, who see me straight away. And these type of organisations, they're only little, and they obviously rely on donations from people like the RBL and other organisations, and they raise money themselves and stuff like that. But these little organisations are doing such good work.
Yeah.
That they're becoming, for them, they're becoming too successful. You know, everyone's starting to go to them. You know, they don't turn anyone away, don't get me wrong. But I have spoken to guys who've set things up on the South Coast and places like that, and they had to fold because they couldn't get the backing, and they'd become quite successful in helping people, but they didn't have the money to do it. Unfortunately.
What people fail to see, and this is what, because this is a big thing, and this is going to be quite a broad statement, in the fact that theoretically we should only have the membership side of the RBL. Why should the RBL exist to sort the welfare out of veterans? It's the government's job to do that. They put them in. They're the ones that have sent them places. Yes, we volunteered to go to these to join the forces, but at the end of the day, if we then have issues because of what has happened in our work environment, they need to deal with it. It's their, we're the government citizens. We're not the RBL citizens.
Yeah.
Luckily, the RBL have come along, and yes, they do get a bad rep off certain individuals and alike, and yes, they're not going to please everybody, but they are doing a fantastic job, and I do see it on a daily basis. And even for civilians, they do. There's so many standard bearers that I know that have never served, but they are just so proud to represent a veterans charity. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've spoke with people about is that when they've went to seek help, they've not known who to go to.
Yeah.
And as much as the RBL, Help for Heroes, and these other organisations exist, there's actually people, you know, veterans out there who don't know that they can go and approach them directly. They think, oh, well, I've got to go through that. But you can go directly approach it.
No.
When we mentioned there about civvies, I mean, you look at it this way. If you work for Tesco's for 20 years and then you left Tesco's, you wouldn't expect Tesco's to fucking look after you. You know. But that's working for Tesco's. When you join the military, you're not just, it's not just a job.
No.
It's a whole way of life. You are changed as an individual.
You've been broken down from a civvy, broken all the way down to a point where you get rebuilt into becoming a soldier. There's no breaking down a soldier and turning them back into a civvy. There's no proper program for that because everybody's different.
Well, I think the fact is that, you know, I mean, again, we've spoken about this many times on the podcast, and normally we join at a certain age between 16 and say 25, most people. You know, the majority of people join then. Some people join a bit later. You know, but generally it's your formative years. Your brain's still developing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good time. You're very malleable, I suppose, in a way.
Like a sponge. It's just like
Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden you're this like drinking, killing, shitting machine, and
no, she said drinking first.
yeah. Well, I think that's the order it normally comes in it. The and then when you're out, you fucking. It's a big bad world.
Yeah, you're a drinking, angry, grumpy, sarcastic machine, and that's it. You're like, oh,
yeah.
But it's like our sense of humour. People do not realise that is the best way to cope. It's how I cope with everything.
Yeah.
If crash happens in front of me, I'm like, that's me going to be late for work. Then let's go and help. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, it's the gallows humour that we have.
Yeah.
That sense of humour. And you're right. I tend to deal a lot. I can't take anything fucking serious most of the time. You know, and I make a joke of everything, but sometimes it can be inappropriate. But it's the way you deal with things, and you're also trying to lighten serious situations as well. If you can smile and make a joke of it, you can. Other people might feel a bit more at ease, and you do that without thinking. You know, when you've been in the military and like, you know, the shit that happened to your battalion in Iraq, and the stuff that I've been in regiments and gone through, and you bounce off each other quite a lot, and normally within I wouldn't say within days, but sometimes within hours, you're making fun of what happened.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you deal with it. And when you try to do that in Civvy Street, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't say that. You can't do that.
I've worked out in Civvy Street, you need to be funny, or just funny enough that HR don't want to hear your joke.
Fucking hell. I'm staying away from that one, mate. I mean, the weird thing that I found is that when I left the military, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't until many years later that I realised I wasn't. And because of probably that transition into Civvy Street, you don't appreciate the change in your life. And I'm not saying it's going to affect everyone who leaves the military, you know, and transitions into Civvy Street, because it doesn't. You know, not everyone has the same mindset. And through studies that I've seen and spoken to people, it generally hits people about 5 or 6 years after they've left the military. You know, the honeymoon period of being a civvy. Some people it hits them straight away, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But generally about 5 or 6 years afterwards is when they can end up in a spiral, or it affecting them, or they all of a sudden fucking getting flashbacks and PTSD's kicked in. You know, you think you've controlled that part of your brain, or you don't even know it's been affected. You know, you don't know that the trauma's still in there. It's still a part of your psyche, and then all of a sudden, a smell, a sound, a song, fucking someone saying something, mentioning something, can just bring it all back. And it can come back with a vengeance. And some people can handle it; they can just push it to one side, think about something else. You know, I shout at myself when it happens, and I tend to control it that way. But other people can't. But they've got to know that there's help out there. There's organisations that want to help, like the RBL, like Elfin Heroes, like Eastern Remembrance Trust, like Walking with the Wounded, and there's plenty of others out there. But they can't come looking for you.
No.
You know, you've got to take the first step and approach someone. Approach your doctor, speak to your nurse. You know, the way I did it was I was in for a blood test, and I asked the nurse. I says, "Oh, what do you do about mental health issues?" And she was a bit taken aback by that. She just went, "Oh, you just fill a form in online," and like walk up. And I thought, "Fucking hell, cheers!"
Oh, I want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, you know that it's having that initial balls to ask that question. It took me a lot of building up to ask that.
I've told somebody this week because they reached out via message and obviously checked on them the next day, and then checked on him the next day, and I'm going to check on him after this as well. But the other day, he was like, "Yeah, I've opened up to the missus," and I was like, "Fucking hell!" I'm not. If there's the biggest step to take it's telling that person that's closest to you. And I tell you what, I wept because I know that's hard to tell somebody that you love that you're struggling rather than a mate is massive. And
it's easier to talk to a stranger. It always is.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I mean, like we are now. You know, that type of thing. I had a similar experience, exactly what you went through. A guy reached out to me, you know, I won't mention his name or tell him what the scenario was, but he did the same thing. He finally realised that he wasn't well, or he had issues, and again he approached his missus and told her, and he was kind of scared of doing that. You know, what will people think of me? Because you've always got that in your mind as well. What will people think of me? But that's that mindset we had from the military. You know, when someone's got an issue, you're like, fucking, ugh, don't want to go anywhere near them.
Yeah.
So that's ingrained in you as well, as much as we don't want it to be, but it is. So he approached these misses, and it all went great. You know, she understood, and this chat, and I've spoken to him since. And you're right, it gets you. It's emotional. You know, I have fucking, you know, been a fucking bubbling wreck.
Yeah, I have it
sometimes
2 or 3 times a year. But I think the most poignant one for me was during COVID. Somebody that it wasn't even a Stafford. He just, like, on a military page, it added loads of people that were military. And then obviously we'd been chatting on Messenger and stuff, and then got his number, and we were then on WhatsApp, and we'd send each other memes and thingy. Then the one night it was, I'm done. I was like, fucking what? I got a message saying I'm done. I'm like, what do you mean you're done? He goes, I'm not doing it any longer. So on the phone to him straight away. I think this was at 11 o'clock at night. 3.5 hours later, I'm still on the phone to him. And I'm not gonna lie, I'd had a busy day. I'd still been at work even though COVID was on, because I was classed as a key worker, and I'm like this. Like, it's that you're like that, trying to stay wide awake because of the seriousness of the situation, but my body was going, no, and I'm going, fucking hell. And then another key word come out, and that was it. I'm just bolt upright again, loads of adrenaline. I'm going, yeah, but have you thought about doing this? Have you spoke to so and so? Have you but you woke up this morning. Have you been to work today? Yeah, I've been to work. Okay, so you've gone to work, and now you're going to kill yourself. What was the fucking point of going to work? I says, you've fucking destroyed your day by going to work, if that's the case. I says, look, can you not take tomorrow off? Can you not just enjoy a day? Can you do me a favour? Can you just go to sleep tonight and wake up in the morning, and if you've woke up, you've got a reason to carry on. You're breathing. You just look in the mirror, smile. If you know you can smile, you can just keep going. And from all that, like from 3.5 hours, 4 hours of conversation in the end, he was like, oh, fuck you, I'm going to bed. I'm like, yeah, you're just going to bed, aren't you? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you fucking taught me ears off for 4 hours. I'm like, are you joking? And then next day, I'd got a massive smiley face. He goes, appointment's booked. And I was like, fucking thank God for that.
I know exactly what you're going through, or what you went through there. I've been there several times, and there's a sense of elation afterwards as well. You know, like you said, with the adrenaline's going as well in you. But when you know that, or you think you've helped them, not know you've helped them, because, you know, I'm not a fucking counsellor. But when you think you might have swayed someone's opinion on themselves or their decision, and they haven't gone through it, you feel good. I can get at why people go into that industry to help people.
Yeah, it's something I'm looking at long term. But I mean, I like to think I was just white noise, and he got fed up of it, like he was on Sear or something.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Sometimes all people need is just to vent.
Yeah.
You know, and the things that have become apparent to me that are the best things that anyone can do, and I only do one of them, is talking.
Yeah.
But talking and walking, physical exercise,
Yeah.
which I do very, very little of, to be honest. But I've got a staircase. I go climb up out the bed. That'll do me.
Yeah. You do
but-
at least one sit up a day because you get out of bed.
I don't. I just roll on the floor.
Burpees up.
Yeah. I'll crawl down the stairs and just see if I can get to the car. The talking side is the most important thing I think anyone can do. Even if you end up having an argument with somebody about it,
It's that venting. I think walking and talking go hand in hand because it's if you can get away from your local area, the sounds, the sight, the smell, it all changes. You brush past something completely different. It's a different touch. Your body's then working on processing the new smell, so it then releases loads of different enzymes, and the body changes. And it's then that talking as well on top. It's you just people underestimate the smell of wet grass and stuff like that.
Unless you've got hay fever, fuck.
Well, yeah.
I started something in January, February, that I've been meaning to do for donkeys, and it's now a way for me to reset.
Yeah.
I've got a little camper van, and that's it. I live on my own, and I can come home on a Friday and go, fuck it. I've got a crash bag that with food in it and stuff like that. I just throw it in the back. Don't go far. I only spent a night at a time out because I've got a cat. And she's okay for the night on her own. Give her plenty of food and water, and she's happy. Fucking she gets a bit angry with me when I come back the next day.
Yeah.
But I'll just jump in the camper van and I'll bugger off. I'm quite lucky that I live in Northumberland, so there's plenty of lovely places to go. And all I do is there's a reservoir not far from me. It's about 40 minutes away. And it's £10 a night that you pay Northumberland Water to stay there. There's a toilet, but nothing else.
Yeah.
And I'll just drive up there, sit there in the back of the van, looking at the skies, fucking crate of beer in the back, try not to drink it all, do myself something to eat, and just chill.
I saw one of your posts actually, and I thought, bloody hell, it looks lovely there. It really does.
Well, that's that. It's Fonburn Reservoir. It's just there's two. There's Derwent Water and Fonburn Reservoir, and they're both amazing places.
Yeah,
it's just water. We love being by water. It's a natural calming thing for people. Unless you can't swim, then you might be a bit scared of it. Again, there's like a human trying to take the piss of things.
Yeah,
but it's just about the relaxation. Again, like you said, it's getting away from the norm. It's changing your environment. Even if it's going to a concert, going to a festival, going to, like you said, going for a walk, going on holiday, going just fucking getting away, getting out of your rut that you may find yourself in, which I think a lot of us as vets do, especially if you're suffering, or even living on your own.
Keeping
being as a vet, that's Andy's Man Club does a lot for people who need that type of help, and it's not just us as vets that suffer from mental health. There's plenty of other organisations out there that do.
Yeah.
When I did my suicide awareness course and self-harm course recently, I found that we're very veteran-centric. We think the veterans, it's be all and end all. We're a very small percentage of the UK that commit suicide. All right, granted, we're quite a small percentage of the UK. So it's in comparison, but it's so it's construction workers, labourers, who are the biggest suicide cohort.
Yeah.
For women, it's fucking. I couldn't get my head around this one. It's primary school teachers. I'm just like, what?
Oh dear.
It blew my mind. And you've got to think that we're not the only people who suffer from it.
It's that thing that you've just said, that primary school teachers. How did you like that? You just think, how's little Johnny that bad? What?
And it's the whole pressure of the job.
Yeah.
You're getting kids coming into school who haven't been fed, who've been beat up by the parents or in rag order, and they're trying to look after them kids, and they get the pressure on there. And then there's pressure from this, that, and the other. It gets to people, and it fucking takes them out.
See, for me,
the construction work. I mean, you work in construction. the lack of stability of employment is one of the biggest things.
Program pressures, cost pressures. It's
Yeah.
and then obviously it's as soon as one person doesn't turn up, people just go, "Oh, just get them in the next day." It's like, yeah, they might be able to come the next day, but the person that had programmed to come in after them can't then make it for another week because they've got other jobs on as well. That we're not just their sole job. So it has knock-on effects. So one day could knock you 2 weeks out essentially, and you've got to get it back somehow.
You see, that's another thing in a mindset of the military as well, where you tend to, because we're used to then in them days, you go to work at fucking 8 in the morning or whatever, and you don't know what time you're coming home.
No.
You could be fucking right. You've got to stay behind. You've got to clean that vehicle. This is that. Got to do areas that fucking listening to them. You're going on guard or whatever, and you just went through. You don't think that about it. And I still suffer that myself. I'll forget to finish work. If you know what I mean. Fucking. I work till 5:30. It's not uncommon for me to sit there till fucking quite late or come home and carry on. And then if I selfishly expect other people to do that as well, and as it's been pointed out to me on more than one occasion, I'm sorry, I don't get paid for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but
I had an experience.
It's weird, isn't it?
I worked for a construction company that have now gone bump, building a warehouse, and I was travelling to Rotherham every day from Tamworth. So I was travelling to Rotherham.
That's a bit of a journey, yeah.
Yeah, hour and a half, hour and 40 there, and then hour and a half back. And one of the wagons, long wheelbases, had gone over the wheel wash, and it weren't supposed to. It was only supposed to be the tipper trucks that went over it. As a result, ripped his fuel tank clean open. All that fuel then started spilling down at the driveway of site out onto the main road. This is at 4:15 in the afternoon. Obviously, everybody runs around, starts mobilising. I'm there literally straight away going, right, need to stop traffic that end of the road, stop traffic that end of the road. We rang the council, got them to bring a gritter down and just dump sand and grit everywhere. Then booked a road sweeper. But as soon as 5 o'clock come, everybody else fucked off. It was me and 2 labourers, and I have no bones about saying this. The project director had already made it clear a couple of weeks previous that he didn't like me and he wanted me off the job. And he's up in the office typing away, looks out the window and sees me still there, coordinating with the police and everything and trying to get everything sorted. And that look on his face when he realises, I don't like this bloke, I want him gone, but he's the only one that stayed over and the only one committed to his work from an incident on site. Everybody else is gone. And it's that thing of when we get to the end of the job and that pressure mounts, it would only be me that's going to be there, staying late, making sure that snagging's getting done, emails are getting sent. I didn't get home till 11:15 that night, and I was still back there for 6:30 in the morning.
And again, it's our mindset, really. Yeah. And unfortunately, we have to conform to them. We should be the ones who are also saying, right, it's 5:30, I'm going. But I just can't do it.
No.
I just can't do it. I mean, Christ, we've been on nearly 2 hours now.
Yeah.
What's your plans for the future then? I mean, you want to push your time with the RBL.
Yeah, so I've got another community group on the go at the moment called the Staffordshire Free, and that's for the 3 lads that died in Iraq. We're raising funds for a permanent memorial to go in Tamworth Castle grounds, and it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to have a QR code on it rather than a plaque. So the QR code will take you to a website that will explain the Stafford's mission in Iraq at the time, the events that led up to the incident, how the incident unfolded, and what happened after. Trying to get stories from lads that served with them and stuff like that. But it's also going to have all 179 names of the nominal roll from Telic, all those that died. Well, obviously, apart from the unknown one, because he was a civil servant, and his name's not actually on there. But it's that thing of Iraq does kind of feel like forgotten. Everybody knows Herrick. If you look at Festival of Remembrance last year, it was it was heavily Herrick orientated. The 10 years since the withdrawal and this, that, and the other. So I feel like Iraq is forgotten about a little bit, and because of obviously cuts and everything within the army, the Staffords no longer exist. It went from they amalgamated to become the Mercian Regiment, where there was 4 battalions. Then they got rid of the 3rd Battalion. Then they got rid of the 2nd Battalion. Now it's the 1st Battalion, and then the Reserve Forces, which is the 4th. So it's although the history's still in there somewhere, it's heavily diluted, and a lot of people don't know who the Staffords are and don't know the story of these lads. So I'm happy to say that the memorial is cast. We know it's cast. It's going through the fettling stages at the moment. We were hoping to unveil it beginning of last week for the 20th anniversary. So we were going to unveil it on the 12th of July before the 16th. It didn't happen because stonemasons are actually harder to get on board than you think. So we've been told that the plinths will be ready for mid-October, and we're going to go for an April the 11th unveiling now. That's the date. I've booked it in, well, penciled it in with the council, and I've now start the process of contacting the Lord Lieutenancy office to try and get royal attendance, getting first aid cover on board, I'll get the regimental association's airsoft range. I'll get food and everything on board. So it's planning a day that doesn't necessarily glorify what we did, but it's
remembering.
Yeah. It's remembering. It's somewhere for the family to come to sit, pause, reflect, and remember. And it's local, and it's not just for the family. It's for friends, colleagues, comrades, people that have known them people. And as much as I love the Arboretum, it's somewhere different. It's somewhere relevant to who and what we are.
Yeah. It's, I think it's a fantastic thing that you've done. It really is. And can people reach out to you?
Yeah.
So I've seen you on TikTok.
Yeah, sorry about
that. Yeah. I think, you know what it is? I don't think people realise how, I wouldn't say important, but how TikTok reaches people.
Yeah, it does.
When I first started on TikTok, I was just looking at women jumping up and down and dancing. It was great.
Yeah.
I think TikTok knew my algorithm very well, and then all of a sudden it changed.
Then you start getting my face going, "Come and have a look at my bike!"
Oh no, swipe.
Oh yeah, like.
Yeah. But it's. I think it's becoming quite important. I mean, it's changed people's attitudes. I mean, our fucking interest rates have gone fucking. Catch your eye straight away.
I hate
videos, isn't it? But it is what it is. That's the way we're going. But I mean, they can reach out to you through TikTok, Facebook, places like that.
Yeah, Facebook. On LinkedIn, I'm down as myself, so Anthony Frith. But yeah, I try and share it on every social media platform that I can. We've got if you go on the Staffordshire Free on Facebook and the same on TikTok, on the Facebook page we have a pinned post, and I have pinned a donation QR code, which I know is awkward because if you're on your phone, how can you scan it? I think there's a link attached as well. So if anybody wants to donate, yes, we've paid for the memorial and the plinth, but we want to make sure that the day is as special as possible for the families and the colleagues from the time that they get to remember properly, and hopefully, I know it sounds weird, but enjoy the day for what it is.
No, it's not weird at all. Enjoy the day for what it is. In the artillery, we do a thing called Fire Mission. It was born from the sappers doing their Sapper Fest, and we do a 3-day weekend now in Doncaster, in a farmer's field. Everyone turns up with tents, camper vans, bring your own beer, stuff like that. And this year was the first time I went, and I will be going every year now because it was awesome. I've seen guys I hadn't seen for 30, nearly 40 years. And some that old. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And it really, really was. It was like having a smoker, for want of a better expression for it. But it was brilliant, and it brings people together, it gets people talking again, but it brings people together. We all have these shared experiences. The Remembrance Sunday is, for me, is twofold. One, it's remembering, and two, it's going out on a piss with your mates.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what it is. And again, civvies don't see that side of it. They think, oh, there's loads of drunken squaddies knocking around Newcastle on Remembrance Sunday. Yes, there is.
Last year was different for me. Obviously RBL again, but I had the absolute privilege of being one of the parade marshals on the cenotaph.
Yeah.
And I had probably 2 or 3 pints after, but because of getting the train home, I wanted to be compos mentis. And it was that weird thing. You stood on the train because everybody's like that, heading north, and you just like that. The whole thing was just surreal. When you start thinking about how 10,000 people look like a right gaggle of shit on horse guards, as soon as that first column start marking time, ready to go, and they start moving, everybody just whoop, and that's it.
Yeah.
You've spent the past 2 hours running up and down going, Can you get in your groups? Can you get in your, come on, that's hang on, mate, your formation's over there, this, that, and the other. And it's like, all of a sudden, they're like, hang on, you fuckers couldn't be this organised when you was in. How can you do it now?
Yeah. Like herding cats, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, as I say, we've been up to like nearly 2 hours now, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. I wish you well with the RBL stuff, and I wish you well with the memorial that you're doing. I mean, even consider doing something like that. You're on about having that together for the unveiling of it. Like, make it a fucking annual thing.
Yeah, but
You never know what could come from it.
That's the plan. We all got together on the 16th. There was, I think there was 36 of us that got together, and they, again, civvies and squaddies, everybody had a common cause to be there. I mean, the one thing I'll say about this, the whole experience in general, I've always been one on social media to put my face on there because it's memories for my kids going forward. But getting out for the wider audience, it's been the most uncomfortable thing ever. I think this is the second.
It's hard work as well.
Yeah, second or third podcast that I've done, and it's like, I'm still going 5p, 50p now when we're 2 hours in, because I don't want to say anything wrong.
Well, I hope you feel a bit more relaxed than you did when you started.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. It's actually been really good, and the time's disappeared. Even though you ignored me 2 studio chats, I've been dying for a pee for 2 hours.
Well, I'm fine. It's my house. It's my spare bedroom. I'll just piss myself. I'm all right. I'll blame it on a cat. Right, well, I'll let you go for a piss then, all right?
I'll send you a message. I improvised, adapted, and overcome, so I won't worry about it.
Yeah, the fucking bottle's full of them underneath the table. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Not far off. So.
Right, well, I'll say good night to you, mate. Again, thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
No.
Like I said, I wish you luck with everything in the future.
Thank you for thinking that I'm worthy enough to come on, so I appreciate it, and thank you for what you do.
Mate, everybody's worthy to come on here. Like I said, we were talking beforehand, everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how small it is or what, everyone's got a story. I'll go back to one I did last year, and a guy come around my house to do it, and it was a long one. It's quite a long one. But afterwards, because I've got like a buy me a coffee page where people can buy you a virtual coffee, and I just helps pay for the software and stuff like that. I don't make money off or anything. That costs money. But he sent me a message. He goes, I can't get you to buy me a coffee thing, so here's a check. Sent me a check. I don't fucking use a checks anymore. How do I use a check nowadays?
Yeah.
I didn't have to take a photo on your phone. That was cool.
Yeah.
But he wanted to say thank you because the reason he did it is what you mentioned earlier just now about your children. He wanted to do it to show his grandkids what Grandad did.
Yeah.
Granddad's life. It records a little bit of segment of history. And it's going on YouTube and it's there forever, or until they block my account. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's there, and people can come along, watch 5 minutes of it, watch all of it, or whatever. But they're getting a bit of everyone's history, and like you said, sharing it for a family. 10 years' time, 20 years' time,
Yeah.
they might cross it. You know, I put a video on YouTube after 2003. I made a video of Pte for our regiment, and I still every now and again, after all this time, I'll get somebody that leaves a comment or sends a message, or I'll see it on Facebook and somebody else post will go, "Oh, found this online. Look at this." Clicking on that. That's fine, nice, but it's there. It's a bit of history. There's a guy who used to write books about the regiment. He never used to publish them, or they were self-published. They were mainly online ones. And he got in touch with me. He's passed away now, bless him. Quite an old guy. And he said, "What you're doing is living history.
Yeah.
You're providing people knowledge or being able to go back and look at the story and this, that, and the other. You know, and it is. That's what we're doing. We're talking about our stories, and it's a bit of history."
Well,
right,
in that
rambled on enough.
One more minute then, quickly, because I've got to say thanks to certain people. So obviously, thanks to yourself for the opportunity. Thanks to everybody that's involved with the Staffordshire Free, those that have donated, supported, and everything. And then massively thank you to Elise, Casey, and Oliver, my kids, and Emma, my current partner, and obviously the dog Charlie, because you've seen him on some of the posts. Yeah. Without all them people, we wouldn't be where we are now. It's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Right, you're welcome, mate. Honestly, and again, thanks for coming on. Right, I'll stop recording now. Then. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I enjoyed recording it. If you could just hit the like button, and also if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell, that'd be great, because it'll help the channel grow. The more people will see it, the bigger it'll get, and the more guests I can get on, and the more people I can talk to. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, like I said. Look forward to the next one. Hopefully we'll be out next week as normal. Bye-bye now.